Oh, hang on. Fabulous. Hello. So my presentation today is called Neuroqueering Education, Creativity and Crypt Theory in Schools. So my name's Christina Beaumont. I work at the Brain Charity. I deliver sessions of physiotherapy through dance and occupational therapy through art to children and young people with neurological conditions. I'm also studying for a doctorate in education, looking at how creative practice can be used to co-create effective educational environments for neurodivergent young people. So prior to working at the Brain Charity, I ran a program called Base Techs at the Liverpool Everyman and Playhouse, teaching lighting, sound, film, and AV skills to young people not in work or education. In that role, I met many young adults undiagnosed as neurodivergent who'd been let down by the education system, lacking in confidence and finding it difficult to communicate. Through creative engagement with technical theatre, these young people began to develop self-confidence, take pride in their work, and communicate effectively with one another, with many going on to work in the creative industries or into further education. This was a transformational experience for me as I realised that creative practice was able to make spaces of learning that transcended background and differences of ability, giving young people an opportunity to find their own individual strengths and interests. As a mother to an autistic child, I've had to navigate the education system as a parent and began to question what it was about creative practice that was so effective in engaging neurodivergent young people and how this could translate into education more broadly. I began by looking at crypt theory. So crypt theory has a history rooted in both art and activism for social change. It challenges binary notions of difference and disability, such as able versus disabled or neurotypical versus neurodivergent, as well as the idea that human worth should be judged in economic terms. Instead, it positions difference and diversity as inherently valuable and provides an ideology to challenge the status quo. Theorists such as McRuer and Walker explain that disabled and neurodivergent people's experience is often dismissed in our society, when it should be seen as providing a valuable insight into different ways of being in the world. In education, this view offers a powerful challenge to the dominant neoliberal agenda of competitive individualism that pervades much of the education system in Britain, where disabled and neurodivergent children are often seen as an inconvenience and a threat to a school's ability to reach its targets. In education, theorists such as Mitchell, Snyder, and Ware suggest that rather than making reasonable adjustments to enable students to access a neuronormative, able-bodied education, education itself should be transformed so that it works for all students based on an understanding of the diversity of lived experience. Crypt theory suggests that educational spaces should become more fluid, changing and adapting to meet the needs of students as opposed to trying to mold students to fit into a rigid system. Interdependence challenges the idea that we're all individuals in competition with one another and gives value to the experience of working together towards a common goal. It requires that traditional hierarchies of power are undermined. Student-teacher relationships become more horizontal and supportive, and students have an opportunity to work together in a way that makes the most of individual strengths and interests. Finally, cripping time means that our time management doesn't have to be fixed to meet the needs of the institution, but should be allowed to expand and adapt where possible to meet the changing needs of students as they progress. Through my work and research, creativity and creative practice have been seen to make the conditions for these values to be realised. Creativity naturally makes a strength out of individuality and the ability to see the world differently. Rather than learning in a transmissive way from teacher to student, it requires learning through exploration and play, opening up possibilities for co-production and collaboration. Also, creative practice requires a rethinking of time and space, as classrooms need to be opened up and reconfigured to allow for creative investigations, and time becomes condensed and stretched in response to the requirements of the task. Finally, in contrast to traditional education, creative practice is concerned with the process rather than the finished product, which reduces pressure to perform and allows a genuine engagement to take place. In conclusion, there are multiple ways that creative practice challenges mainstream education, in ways that it can make it more accessible to everybody. Creative practice disrupts the notion of a one-size-fits-all learning process and makes space for multiple subjectivities and forms of engagement in the following ways. It prioritizes collaboration over individualism and equity in learning versus competition. It creates intrinsic motivation, which is the motivation to do something for its own sake, rather than extrinsic, which is motivation for external rewards such as grades or praise. It means that young people can discover things on their own, and the knowledge therefore becomes their own rather than things being taught to them by an all-knowing adult. It challenges hierarchical power structures and makes things more horizontal, so things more equitable between teachers and learners. And it's interested in ipsative rather than normative assessment. So ipsative means
That's
grade.
5 marks. Sorry.
Thank you. Grading children against their own past performance rather than against one another. Finally, creative practice values difference versus conformity. So embracing creative practice in education is vital in this moment in time, as we see many of our social and cultural values being eroded. I charge neoliberalism and unfettered capitalism for this erosion. Rather than teaching our children about these things, we need to create environments that embody an alternative set of values and way of being in the world. And education is one of the main ways that we can do this, leading to lasting social change. Thank you.